Hello everyone, welcome to this short course on Oracle database getting deployed on Amazon Web Services. Let's try to understand the agenda for this course. We'll start with an overview of Oracle database on Amazon Web Services. How is it kind of slightly different when you look at it from an on-premise deployment, and then compare and contrast between the various options that you could do within Amazon Web Services. And then slowly we'll unearth the Amazon RDS, or the relational database management systems, or the relational database service for Oracle. Within that, we will look at the provisioning of an RDS instance, and then look at the key features within the relational database management service. And then comes, how do we manage this particular RDS instance, or an Oracle deployed in an RDS instance? Typically, we categorize the tasks from a DBA perspective into system tasks, database tasks, log tasks, and miscellaneous tasks. We will cover them as we progress through the course. Now, for the current discussion of this lesson, let's get an overview about how and what of Oracle database on Amazon or AWS. So that's about the overview of this course, Oracle database on Amazon Web Services. Before we get to the meat of the discussion, let's try to understand and familiarize ourselves with some of the terminologies. AWS stands for Amazon Web Services. EC2 stands for Elastic Compute Cloud, which is otherwise also a key component of the Amazon Infrastructure as a Service. And S3 stands for Simple Storage Service, which allows you to do management of your snapshot backups and move the backups across multiple regions and things like that. So core concept of EC2 and S3 is that they are attached to the IaaS offering of Amazon Web Services. Now, from a database perspective, that too from running an Oracle database on Amazon, we have two options. Option one, which is what Amazon recommends, is the Amazon Relational Database Service, or it is called as Amazon RDS, for which Oracle is a managed service that helps simplify the provisioning and management of Oracle database. When you say managed service, you don't need to deal with how do I back up the database, how do I patch the database. Everything is handled or done behind the scenes by Amazon. On the other hand, if you don't want to have too much of management headache given to Amazon, but you want to have more control over what you're getting into the Amazon cloud, then you can run a self-managed, or you manage on your own as you would do in an on-premise system. But the key thing that you get is an Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, or Amazon EC2. Now, the services that you would use when deploying Oracle would be, if you are not interested in RDS, then you would be using the EC2, wherein you get the infrastructure as a service. And if you are interested in relational database management service, you won't probably need EC2. And in such cases, you will stick to RDS. Regardless of whether you use EC2 or RDS, you would end up using the other three services, which is the Managed Database Migration Service, which allows you to migrate your on-premise databases into AWS. And also from a networking perspective, you would deal with VPC, which is Virtual Private Cloud, which isolates the cloud resources from a networking standpoint. And the way in which you do security and do identity and access management is a concept called as Identity and Access Management, or IAM, within Amazon Web Services, and it allows you to manage user access and the encryption keys. So these are the key services or components or features that you would end up using when you're deploying Oracle on Amazon. Now let's take a step back and try to understand the flavors of running Oracle on EC2 and running Oracle on RDS. But before we get there, let's see how do you host your databases on-premise. You are a DBA. You would be assigned with the task of creating an Oracle database in your on-premise data center. What you do is you wait for the rack and the servers to be ready, which essentially means that you need to talk to your data center folks who would take care of powering the HVAC, the rack stacking, and also the server maintenance. Once that is taken care, you would then reach out to your system administration team stating that, okay, the server is ready. Can you get started with the operating system installation and ensure that the operating system patches for Oracle database are intact? or as per the specifications. And once the system administrator installs the required patches and also does the operating system installation, you get notified and your task starts, wherein you install the database software, you identify the patches required, you define the high availability and backup strategy, and you're responsible for maintaining and managing the database backups and high availability. Along with that, you also need to do scaling. You need to keep track of how the resources are used. You need to keep track of any patches that needs to be applied. And that's the life cycle that you end up doing. And on top of that, you are also responsible for the application optimization, because the developers would be porting their code onto this database and they would reach out to you in case of any performance related issues. So this is an end-to-end life cycle when you are talking about databases on-premise data center. Now, on the other hand, if you're deciding to host your databases in Amazon EC2, then you offload certain set of characteristics to Amazon, wherein you don't reach out to the data center team. You don't probably go through this process of data center team maintaining and managing or racking up your servers or doing the server maintenance and bothered about power and cooling, etc. And also the networking components. And on top of that, you are also not bothered about the operating system installation. So as part of Amazon Web Services infrastructure as a service, which is part of the Amazon EC2 family, you would get a virtual machine, and also along with that, you would get an operating system of your choice. But you would now be responsible for maintaining and managing the operating system patches. You would now need to install the database on top of it, the patches on top of it, manage and monitor the high availability and database backup strategy, then also deal with scaling, whether the server that you have requested would scale your requirement or not, and then also deal with the application optimization. So that's one way of looking at it. So we will kind of introduce Amazon RDS in our next lesson. I'll stop this lesson here with a thought that Amazon Web Services allows you to give two options, or allows you to choose two options. One is deploying Oracle on EC2. The other one is deploying Oracle on RDS. So let's look at the other part of the deployment in the next lesson, wherein we'll explore and unearth more details about running Oracle databases using the Amazon Relational Database Services.